Hello, I'm Kevin, VK6 Lima Whiskey, and in this video I'd just like to share with you another receive antenna I've been working on. Once again, this is a vertically polarised antenna. It's a small loop, or relatively small. It's got around about 29.3 metres of wire in total. Top is at about 13.7 metres. Base here is at 1.58, and this is an open wire line feed. This is typically 450 ohm or 600 ohm open wire line, and then it goes from here into 75 ohm coax. So it's just a simple matching device here for this loop. So the idea with this vertically polarized loop is to try and achieve vertical polarization on several bands. It's relatively easy to put up a vertical or a multi-band vertical and get obviously some vertical polarization from that antenna. So there's two things I was really trying to do here. I'm trying to get multiple bands from one antenna with the radiation pattern predominantly vertical. And there's a reason for this, and that is that I'm fairly keen on contests, and in SO2R type mode, where you're transmitting on one radio or one frequency and listening on another, trying to cut out the interstation interference is quite important. I've got bandpass filters, but having separate receive antennas that are located some distance from the transmit antenna is really useful. So in a previous video I discussed the small oblong loop that I have that I've recently installed, and that's working quite well. But I was trying to maybe test another type of loop and see if I can optimize that for the HF bands, and maybe include 40 meters as well. So it's not a huge loop. It's suspended from a tree, and it's around about 100 meters from the main transmit antenna. So that's a reasonable distance to achieve. I've got a little bit of space here, so that does kind of work. And certainly first indications seem to be that it's given me some pretty good rejection on the transmit signal on harmonically related bands. So this is the pattern on 40 meters, 7 megahertz, and as you can see here from the 3D plot, it's reasonably low angle. It's certainly good enough to act as a receive antenna. The gain is nothing sensational, but that's not really quite the object of the exercise here. The whole idea is to try and build these antennas and get a good signal to noise ratio. That's probably more important than anything else. So if we slide this around a bit, you can see that as we go through the azimuth setting, the pattern does change. It changes from mainly all vertical, which is the red line, to a little bit of horizontal, which is the green line. The peak lines here, they're the -3 dB points. But nevertheless, it's still, generally speaking, omnidirectional, and certainly in the plane of the antenna, it's very much a vertical arrangement, and broadside to the antenna, it's a mix of horizontal and vertical. So if we have a look at 20 meters on here, you can see that it's still a very low angle radiator, which is good. And once again, you can see more or less broadside to the antenna here. The pattern is somewhat mixed. It's predominantly vertical, a little bit of horizontal in there. I think as we swing this around, you'll see this change. And certainly, once again, in the plane of the antenna, it's mainly all vertical, which is good. This is really what I'm trying to achieve. So let's have a look on 15 meters. It's a slightly different sort of pattern. Once again, the gain's not huge, but the gain's not that important with this antenna. There's some low angle radiation here, which is important, and the majority of the radiation here in the plane of the antenna is vertical. I think as we swing around, we'll see some horizontal there as we swing back around. So maybe that could be a little bit better on 15, but certainly end on, it's all vertical. So essentially this is what the aim is, to try and get something that's predominantly vertically polarised. And we'll have a look on 28 megs, 10 meters. Let's see what that looks like. And once again, that's more or less on the plane of the antenna. Once again, in the plane of the antenna, it's all vertical polarisation. You can see here it's starting to get a bit of ground reflection. The pattern gets a bit messy because it's several wavelengths long once you get to 15 and 10 meters. There's not really much we can do about that, but overall that seems to be pretty good, and quite happy with that. So match-wise, it provides a pretty good match. This matching section, typically for 450 ohm, it's around about 6.5 meters in length. You can go straight to 75 ohm coax. If you want a slightly better match, you can put a 2-to-1 balun here and go and effectively still with the 75 ohm coax, 2-to-1 balun will give you a better match here. Probably on receive, it's not going to make much difference. In this situation here where we're going straight to coax, it's probably good to have an air cord coaxial balun, probably something like 10 turns on 100mm diameter would do the trick nicely. I've just set this up this evening, did a quick few tests with it. Certainly on 10 and 15 meters, it's very good. 20 meters, also very good, and happy with the results on 40. Tried it on 80 and 160, but there's not an awful lot on there at the moment to compare anything with, so not too many signals on that band at the moment. Chances are there's a way you can make this work on the low bands, but I'm really interested in 40 meters through to 10 meters and reducing the interstation interference on harmonically related bands, and this seems to fit the bill. So that's where we're at with this particular antenna at the moment. We should continue to test it and compare it with the other receive antennas I've got here. I've got several other receive antennas. So, and I do have some receive antennas that are dedicated to the low band. So not too concerned that this is a high band antenna. I've got some delta loops half on ground which seem to work really well on the low bands. So much so that they're probably not too much incentive to put the beverages back up, which I've had for some time. I've got some smaller loops which are very comparable with the beverage, and in some instances work a little bit better. Okay, that's all for now. 73's from me, Kevin, VK6 Lima Whiskey.